it delivered from a Pullman restaurant today. Somebody's having pups and cups. Mackenzie, what are you having? Put it in. Where? What are you having and where from? Yum. Amberly, sounds good. Dismores, yes. Excellent. Get your lunch in the chat box there, and Kimberly will be doing a drawing later for a $20 gift card to the Pullman restaurant of your choice. Welcome, everyone. Don't feel like you can't say hello in the chat or otherwise. Hi, Jamie. Peanut butter and jelly. Oh, I guess I could start my video. Peanut butter and jelly, that actually sounds really good, Chief.
Do that or donuts.
The quintessential police officer snack.
There you go. Or it's croissants now, though.
Oh, all righty then.
You know, the health conscious.
I don't know. Croissants have quite a bit of yummy butter in them.
Just sounded better, though.
It does sound better. Oh, that must be Barb. So nice to hear from you, Barb. You've got the greatest laugh.
Hello. Good to hear everyone.
Good to have you on. Oh, Bob's having grilled chicken sandwich. That sounds delicious as well, Bob. From Cougar Country. You guys are chicken from Safeway. Are you getting like the whole rotisserie chicken from Safeway, Mike? Ooh, ooh. I like all these shoppers from Dismores. Happy to share. We'll get over here. I'm drinking water. Actually, it was a coffee this morning from McDonald's. They make a really good caramel macchiato, in case you needed to know that.
Well, and you get a senior discount too, don't you?
Hey, hey, hey. Why is there so much laughing? Oh, you're not funny. Well, it's 2 minutes after 12. We have 30 folks already in. I will maybe start talking a little bit, but we'll take our time here and get some more folks in. I think we have over 50 signed up today. So welcome to the May General Membership Lunch virtually. And again, thank you to Avista and Paul Kimmel for hosting us on their Zoom account. Appreciate that very much. Today, we will be hearing from the mayor and some staff members for the state of the city. We always do this every year, and we appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Sounds good. Our May Business Member of the Month is the Phoenix Rising Counseling Services. This is Heidi Benjamin and a new business that she has started. So be sure to check that out. Again, Heidi, thank you for your support as our May Business Member of the Month. She's a change agent who, in tandem with a client, will work to create and inspire positive change. Together, you will explore negative thoughts that are leading to unhealthy behaviors. We have learned in the past year and a half or so that there's such a need for these kind of services. And so Heidi, welcome as our May Business Member of the Month and a new member of the Chamber of Commerce. We really appreciate that. So don't forget, if you have picked up lunch or had it delivered today from a Pullman restaurant, you want to put what you're having for lunch and where you purchased it in the chat section, and your name will be drawn after 12:30 for a $20 gift card to the Pullman restaurant of your choice. Fun way to support our businesses and share what you're eating. And sometimes it's fun to hear what other people are eating, and because I forgot all about like the steak sandwich or steak salad from Foundry. Yum, sounds delicious. Pullman Farmers Market, which is hosted by the Pullman Chamber of Commerce, is starting next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, from 3:30 to 6:30. This is hosted at the Brailsford WSU Visitor Center at 150 East Spring Street here in Pullman. Starts next Wednesday and goes through October. We will be practicing COVID restrictions, but we certainly hope as the summer progresses, we'll be able to bring in more folks and have more people in the market itself. So do please wear a mask and practice that social distancing. We're really excited about this year's market. Also, TSA is having a pre-check enrollment starting next Monday. Is that next Monday? Yeah, the 24th through Friday, 9 to noon, and then again from 1 to 5. You can enroll for TSA. This is great if you've not done TSA pre-check. It's awesome. There's some information on our website and also here on the slides right there. If you need more information, let us know. Also upcoming, Pullman Regional Hospital Women's Leadership Guild will be having their 3rd annual Girlfriends Gather. This is next Thursday, May 27th, or not next, the week after, 6 to 7:30 p.m. What a great opportunity to nominate your favorite local nonprofit that serves women and children's health, and you can receive up to $10,000. So be sure to check that out. We'll also be hosting, the Pullman Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a community blood drive on Thursday, June 10th with Vitalent. And if you have questions, you can call us or we can hook you up with Joe Fairbanks, or you can contact them directly. And of course, every year we work with Salmon River Experience to host a chamber raft trip. Many of you have been on that raft trip with us. We always have such a great time. We have scheduled it for July 9th, and you just RSVP with us here at the chamber and we can give you all the information for that. It's like we're up to about 40 participants today, so that's great. We'll still have some time to get some more folks in, but I want to thank board members that are with us today. Pullman Chamber Board President Andrew Flabetich, Member Bob Maxwell, Francis Benjamin, Ginger Flynn, Mackenzie Brummett, Jackie Kafis, and Pat Wright are all joining us today, and I want to thank them for their service on the Pullman Chamber Board. I don't know if we have any new members on the call today. If there is a new member and I missed you on the RSVP list, unmute yourself and give a holler. Love to welcome you as a new member. A side note there, we have had, ironically, a huge influx of new members since March of 2020 with, all the COVID restrictions. We've had 24 new members in the last year, and 13 of those have been just since January of this year, 2021. So welcome to all of them. It's been really exciting to welcome new members, not only into Pullman, but to the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you. All righty. Well, it is almost 10 after 12, so we're going to go ahead and get started, maybe a little early, and be able to leave plenty of time for some questions to Mayor Johnson and city staff. Each year, we invite Pullman's mayor and staff to present the state of the city to our chamber membership and our community. And I know it's generally a very well-attended lunch, and even virtually is no different. So thank you all for being here. This year, we are hosting it virtually, but with many new faces at the city, I think it's a great opportunity to hear from Mayor Johnson and the new city staff that some of us haven't met in person yet. I know that many of you know Mayor Johnson, but I want to take an opportunity to introduce him using his bio, some of his bio from the website. He's a 5-term mayor. He's the longest serving mayor of Pullman in Pullman's history. And I don't want to forget that, because I think that's really an important fact of note. And I know he's been on the Pullman Chamber Board for several years and is just a great asset to Pullman. And so I want to go ahead and read his bio with some updates for some of us that might not know of all the things he does. Mayor Johnson considers it an honor to serve the citizens of Pullman and has always considered himself a servant leader and follows those principles. He is now in his 5th 4-year term, having started as mayor in 2004. When he was elected to his 3rd term in 2011, he became the longest serving mayor since the city was founded in 1888. He has been unopposed in all 5 elections. In addition to working daily for Pullman residents in this part-time position, Glenn's leadership is evident also on the state level. Governor Jay Inslee appointed Glenn as a trustee of the Community Colleges of Spokane, and he currently serves as vice chair of the trustees. Spokane Falls Community College serves Pullman with a location on the WSU campus. He is also on the board of the Association of College Trustees based in Olympia and serves as legislative co-chair. Glenn has chaired the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport Board of Directors since 2004 as part of his mayoral responsibilities. The airport is working on a $154 million project that saw the new runway open October of 2019. And the next projects, which we heard about in March with the executive director, Tony Bean, include building a new taxiway and the construction of a new terminal. All this led by Mayor Johnson, as well as the board of the PUW. The new runway and its instrument approach system dramatically reduced the number of visibility cancellations at Pullman Regional Airport. He is on the board of directors, as I mentioned, of the Pullman Chamber of Commerce and was the chamber president in 1999. He has chaired the 4th of July celebration at Sunnyside Park since 1998, and in 2014, he received the first ever and the only Continuous Service Award from the Chamber of Commerce. He serves on the board of the Community Action Center of Whitman County. He is co-chair of the steering committee for the Next Era of Excellence fundraising campaign for the Pullman Regional Hospital. He is honorary co-chair of the Pullman Depot Heritage Center's fundraising campaign of the Whitman County Historical Society. He is also on the board of the Blues Free Clinic and is a member of both Rotary and Kiwanis. I cut this way down. There are many, many other things that Mayor Johnson is involved in and is chair of or an active board member of. Very impressed. He's like a Visa card everywhere you want to be. Please, with that, help me welcome Mayor Glenn Johnson.
Thank you, Marie, very much for that introduction. Appreciate all that time that you spent. But again, we've got a lot of things to talk about today. And so we've got Haley Clementson, who's our administrative assistant here with the city, and she's going to help do some PowerPoint for us. And I think Paul's going to help get that shared screen going. I'm at City Hall right now. I'm in my mayor's office, and we have been here at City Hall since October. Our Parks and Recreation Department, Recreation got into their building back in June of last year. So when you take a look at the slides, we're going to have 3 of us today. last time that we did a State of the City address was back on April 9th, 2019 at Banyans. A lot of things obviously have changed in all that time period. Mike Urban, as you see, is the city administrator at that time. He was head of our finance and administration. And RJ Lott was still working over there near Wenatchee. And now he is our planning director. You'll have a chance to meet him today. Well, our next slide will be through this whole pandemic. You just can't talk about what the city has done without talking about COVID-19. It's a major impact for businesses, for our personal lives, for the city response. But in all this time period, one thing I want to point out, that all this time period, all the essential services were there for you. Police, fire, when you flush the toilet, that was taken care of. The water from your faucet, the finance, when we took our revenue that came in, the checks that were issued, our transit, all these major essential services continued on. And yes, it was a learning experience. I can tell you that when we first started with, when the pandemic was first declared by the governor for the emergency, and then we had our emergency declaration as well, we were having like 3 to 4 meetings a day just to make sure, okay, how can we cover this? We know we're not going to have the revenue we've had before. How can we keep all these services going? At the same time, make sure that one, that our employees are protected, and two, we've taken care of the residents to make sure it's safe for them. So those are all the considerations that we looked at. We found out we can't do overlapping shifts like we've done in the past. The police department, they'd always check in, okay, here's the shift that's done. They would brief the next shift on what's going on. We had to stop doing that. We had to stop doing that in maintenance and operations as well. We couldn't do those things. And yes, despite all the work that we did, and the same thing that happened in your businesses as well, we had a few of our employees that came down with COVID-19. Fortunately, most of them could all rehabilitate at home. But we did have one police officer who ended up in Pullman Regional Hospital in the ICU, and he was there for a while, and it took him 3 months rather, to finally come back to work. So again, just pointing out the seriousness of COVID-19 and how important it is. Please, so important to get those vaccines. We've got such a great system. Ed Schweitzer and SEL came up with a system to vaccinate people so quickly, so efficiently, like an engineer would. And matter of fact, Spokane came down and watched how that operation went. And they copied some of the things that was done by SEL. So we've got a lot of great things going on with the hospital, with the medical community. You can get your vaccine, please do it. You can do it at your local pharmacy as well. All of these things are very important. Another thing that we had happen to us, and when you talk about shifts from the fire department or police department, it was taking us a little while to get back our testing results. And fortunately, working with the medical community and Dr. Fosbach in particular, we were able to get the test results back the same day. And SEL stepped up, where they said, you can have our quick results too if you need them. And that at least saved a shift, because if somebody was exposed, then we could make, that whole shift would possibly be exposed. And the sooner we get those test results back, the quicker we can get all the people back to work. Next slide. We are now, you can see here our council goals that we've set up. We have a chance to meet again in June to try and move some more of those goals along the way. But you can definitely see COVID's influence on the council goals, or recovery, retention, and recruitment. And also we've got collaboration in there and public health as well. And those are all important. And our council basically reflects our community. We had a great survey that went out and we got results back from that. We've used results from 2040 in terms of determining our priorities as well. And this would be a great time to talk about Heidi Benjamin's other half, because he's been very much instrumental with 2040 along with the Chamber of Commerce. And we talk about collaboration there. The Washington Association of Washington Cities awarded Pullman the Municipal Excellence Award. It was submitted by Nathan Weller, our city council member, for 2040, for the work that was done by 2040. They just got that notice there last week. And again, we talk about collaboration as well. We want to congratulate Pullman Regional Hospital for being accredited now for the residency program that will start in 2022 as That was a big, big effort to get that done. Next slide. So we are in our city hall again from October. Now the city council that you see in front of you have not met here officially in our council chambers yet. They've all been in, obviously. And as soon as everything clears up and we can get people back in the city hall, and again, most of us are here working right now, we'll have tours, and perhaps we can actually have the council and the mayor give tours of our new city hall, because we want to thank you for your support for the bond issue that helped us purchase this. And when you take a look at some city halls across the state, and they're $50 and $60 million to build a city hall, to think that we were able to reposition and repurpose this church for $3 million, and we picked up 6 acres and $8 million in renovations, and we have a fantastic facility right now. Again, thank you so much for the Pullman community for your support for this. Our next slide. One of the things that always pops up as far as residents' #1 priority is public safety. And that has been that way over the years. And our fire department, as you can see on those slides, and hopefully you can read some of those numbers, but even with COVID-19, 70% of our calls are still medical calls, of all the calls that our fire department responds to. We've been able to use some of the CARES money for a couple of things, 2 sterilizer cleaning units for the ambulances, because we had to make sure the ambulances were clean and ready to respond for the next call, so COVID wasn't passed on. So we were able to use CARES money for that. We also had a couple of grants where in 2020, we were able to add 2 firefighter paramedics, and we have a FEMA grant that was just approved, and that allowed us to hire 3 firefighters. That's without any charge to the city for the first 3 years. And that was approved by the council, and the FEMA grant has been very, very beneficial for us over the years. They also have a CPR machine, which is called an auto pulse. We've had one before, we were able to add another one. It does CPR automatically with a patient. It also saves the firefighter paramedic from really close contact with a COVID patient. So that has been very beneficial for all of us. Fire department's headed up by Chief Mike Heston. Next. This is a National Police Week, and this is all the way through the 15th of this week. We're grateful for the men and women in our police department, the great representatives they are. You know, when you take a look at some of the things that the police department has accomplished, listed there as the 6th safest city in the state. Under Gary Jenkins, our police chief, it's been very innovative. When other departments during this last year of a lot of turmoil, people were demanding transparency with the police departments. Please give us body cams. We had body cams in 2013, and we've been using them ever since. We also might mention that we've had a lot of great training going on, and we also have B&L bicycles, because I've heard just beforehand about Paul and Marie were talking about their bike purchases from B&L. We have pedal assist or electric bicycles for our police department, and they're out there pedaling. And I just want you to know that this week they'll be training. Now, what that means is you'll see a lot of police officers on bicycles. They can pull you over. I just want to make sure you know that. Just because they're on a bicycle, I believe they actually have some kind of a siren, and they definitely have flashing lights. So I'm just giving you as a head warning today, because, you know, they're going to be out there working and training. Also, all our supervisors have gone through special training so they can train all our police officers as well. Our next slide. And that they have the latest use of force. This shows our declining crime problem here in the area. Thank goodness for that. Those things can change rather rapidly, but you see there where we have, it's broken down into property, persons, and society. Society, I had to double check that one, and Jake Opgenor says that's animal cruelty violations, drug, prostitution, things of that nature. Persons, you can pretty well tell that's like an assault, and property is break-ins and things of that nature. But you can see there we have a declining number of crime in this particular area. Next slide. One of the departments that was hit hard by COVID-19 obviously was Neal Public Library. When you have a business that's inside, and then you have restrictions put on by the governor's office, you really can't do a lot. And then you have the contact and you're trying to clean your books and all that. So our library, under the direction of Joanna Bailey, had to be closed down from March 16th all the way through February of this year. And close to 90% of the staff was furloughed during this time. Friends of the library stepped up. They've helped us in a number of categories. There's been a 200% increase in technology. And you see a picture there of me reading to the kids. I really enjoy doing that. During COVID, we actually read to kids virtually. We did that. And also the children's librarian read to children as well. Just trying to give parents a break. And also kids could hear different stories read by different people. This past week, last week, I was out at Pullman Christian School reading to the children there from K through fourth grade. And before that, building blocks, we're getting out again. And yes, I was reading with a mask and I was all protected and all that. So I just want to make sure we're doing that. Also, you can see that we are doing curbside service right now. You can check out books and they can deliver them right to you. If you look at the backside of the library, there's parking slots 1 through 6, and you can park there and they'll deliver your books to you. You can return your books. And there's also appointments for people to come into the library for like a half-hour appointment. So you can check the library's website. We're trying to do the best we can under the restrictions that we have, but it's all working. And the library really stepped up and we really appreciate that. Another department that was hit hard by COVID-19 is where we had a lot of furloughs, was in Parks and Recreation. Alan Davis is our park superintendent and Kirk Damon is our recreation superintendent. But even with COVID-19, we managed to accomplish a lot of things. And so you can see that we got the pool liner done, and Rainy Pool will be open, okay? Will be open this summer. And the last date that I have for that is June 12th. So on June 12th, Rainy Pool will be back open again. We opened up the aquatic center with limited people going there by appointments, things like that. So we have the fitness and aquatic center open. That opened up in August. Parks department has been out there working like crazy, trying to make sure the parks are up. People have been using them. Just a heavy use, just to get outside, just to get something other than being cooped up because of the pandemic. So they've done a lot of great things, even despite the fact that we were restricted in a number of different things we could do. I'd like to also just point out the Kiwanis Club this year came through with $9,300 for Mary's Park. That's on top of the $25,000 they gave to the city for Mary's Park the year before. And Mary's Park is going to be an all access kind of park. We're making a lot of improvements out there right now. Some of you know that the bond issue for Lawson Garden House, the bids came through a lot higher than they were expected. So that's waiting design and funding review right now. We had to cancel a number of different programs from recreation, but in September, we started our preschool program again. 48 families have been participating with that preschool program, and graduation for preschool is next month. So we're getting that done. The Rainy Shower building renovation, that's going to be done this year too. And we got bids in, and the bids actually came through cheaper than the design. Hey, once in a while you get a leader like that, you know? Speaking of leaders, Megan Vining is one of our rec superintendents. And during COVID-19 and Kirk Damon as superintendent, they were both getting a lot of phone calls from recreation programs throughout the state. What are you doing over in Pullman? What's happening during this pandemic? What can you do? And they were able to help other departments across the state. Just how highly respected our Pullman Recreation Department is all about. And I want you to know that 2 weeks ago, Pullman Recreation Center was recognized by the State Association Spotlight Award winner. It recognizes outstanding achievements by parks and recreation agencies for excellence in recreation facility and construction. And you can see a little bit of that on your slide there with the new rec building that we have and the new courts. Oh, the courts are just gorgeous. And yes, during pandemic, we had a lot of people using the walking trails around there inside during the bad weather. And it's just a great facility that we've been able to acquire. So thank you so much again, Pullman, for that support to purchase both of these buildings. Kevin Gardas is our Public Works Director. and his deputy is Clayton Forsman. Kevin notified us that he plans to retire. So we're right now searching for a new public works director. And I also know that this is the lunchtime. Marie's asked for what you're eating already, and you've had that. And we're going to have an award here in a second as to who gets the best thing. So when I'm talking, just in case you're having a thick milkshake right now, I'm sorry to mention about thickened waste activated sludge. But let me just tell you, these are the things you don't want to know about that the city takes care of, okay? And because we take care of that, we can take care of the germs and all the other kinds of things that happen when we treat sewage that comes through on the sewage. So the other thing is that last year, we were able to open up our UV, ultraviolet light disinfectant. And that means we don't have to use the chemicals that we used to have to use. And it is much safer. And it does a far better job in disinfecting that sewage. So we have UV lights now that are doing a lot of that work. Originally, it was estimated around $8 million. It came in at around $6 million. And so those are some of the things we've been able to do. Also, while you don't see that, you may see these improvements coming along, because if you've been driving around, next slide, if you've been driving around the town right now, you've been seeing a lot of construction going on. Spring Street, Harvest, Crestview, Bishop, there's signs everywhere. And that's the summertime. As we all know, it's construction time. So one of the things you're going to see, that's the design right there for the roundabout. Now, it may not be the first roundabout, but it's going to be one of our roundabouts, and that's going to be at Terreview and at Northwood. So Terreview, and if you're coming from WSU, that'll be Fairway, which goes into Northwood. But you'll see that. You'll see a lot of other things that are underway as well this summer and in the next couple of years. We've been rather busy with a lot of different things that are going on. You see where it says pop-up crosswalks on Panorama Drive near Sunnyside Park. That's we have a number of those. We have one out at Kamiak School. We have one on Harvest. And that's when the street is narrowed, and then you have a chance to cross that crosswalk in a much shorter distance. And so we're going to do some pop-up crosswalks around there too as well. And they've been working on a number of other different projects as well. And one is the sewage pipes that went out to the new terminal at our airport. And that'll, I think that's on our next slide. If we're going to just flip that one over there. We have the new sanitary sewage. That was there it says it's 2.4 million, but 1.6 of that came from a state grant. And we want to shout out Senator Mark Schessler, because he was very instrumental in getting that grant for us to do that sewage line out to the airport. And 2023, right about 22, we're going to try and get a high pressure water line out to the new terminal as well. So that'll be happening, and that's already in the planning stage right now. I know Tony Bean spoke to you a couple of months ago and did a fantastic report on the airport. Since that time, you can see a better, cleaner drawing of what the new terminal is going to look like. We had a couple of public sessions, and Paul Kimball, who's on this call today, along with John Kimberling, are co-chairs of our Terminal Advisory Committee. They both serve with us on the airport, and they're doing a terrific job. And we have a great advisory committee that's giving, some of those are like 2 million milers. They've been to a lot of airports. They give a lot of good input. But since that time that Tony spoke, we will now next Thursday have our third flight in. And that flight will be at 5:30, leaving for Seattle. So we'll have flights at 6 a.m., 1 p.m., and at 5:30. Again, that starts on May 20th. And coming back, if you're coming back from Seattle, it's 11:25, 3:30, and 10:40. Now, just taking a look at where air traffic is coming back, and the numbers are there, they're starting to come back. So that's why Alaska could justify a third flight. A year ago, back in April, we had a total of 332 people fly on those flights, 332 total in April. Last month, it's getting back there, 3,300, 6,700 used the airport during the month of April. So things are starting to improve. Planes are about 70% filled. So during some breaks, it was actually about 100% full. So the numbers are starting to creep back in there. And before COVID hit, we were just on a great trajectory in terms of how many people were using the airport. Total justification for the terminal, and we still have that justification for the terminal because the air terminal we have right now is about 8,000 square feet. What they're talking about with all the requirements that you have for security, talking now basically about a 50,000 square foot terminal, and you've had a chance to see some of those drawings. And obviously, airports are economic development. So that just leads us right into the next one here. First of all, I want to point out that great looking photo that you see there. Brandon Chapman, our council member, took that photo. It's a gorgeous, and I asked him today, I said, did you use a special filter? He says, no, it's just a normal kind of shot. So it's a great shot of our bridge that Jen Hackman, who's our economic development person, worked on a grant to get that lighting taken care of. You can see some of the things that she has listed that are going on. When we hired and created an economic development department, and this was again led by the council, they said we need an economic development person. When hired, basically it was recruitment. And then when COVID-19 hit, it's basically retention and recovery, trying to help people as much as we can. And she partners with the chambers, with the Southeast Washington Economic Development Council, working with all kinds of people to make sure that all our businesses know about, hey, you can apply for this particular grant. Here's what's available to you. And she's been able to do that through the Working Washington rounds 1 through 3, the Resiliency, Pullman Cares, Whitman Cares, working on all that together. Next slide. And also you can see some of the economic development that's happened since the last time that we got together for a State of the City address, mostly up there on Brailsford Drive, but you see Chipotle and you see Starbucks and that great RPM. Well, I could just see my truck today. I said, I need to be there. And fortunately, I have a monthly pass, so I will be there this afternoon to clean that truck. And that monthly pass is a great deal too. But you know, that just some of the struggles that we had. I don't know how many times I was on the line with the governor's staff. I plan to be there again tomorrow, talking to a couple of people there before this pause is broken up. We'll find out what happens next. But we had such great collaboration during this whole time. We would get online with a COVID-19 leadership, which would include the president of the university, include the city, the county, the health department, the hospital, the doctors, Chamber of Commerce, all of us working together, trying to do the best we can for our communities and trying to respond the best way we possibly can. And it just shows that kind of collaboration where we can work together. And that's what we're doing here with economic development as well. And the last slide I'm going to have before I get to turn it over to RJ Lott is Going Green. Yes, the old song, it's not easy being green. It's also pricey as well. And, but you see one of our buses up there that talks about water conservation, and with Paul Kimmel and the Water Summit and John Kimberlin that do that every year. This is one of our ways of messaging for our whole community that water conservation is important, and it is. And we also have 2 electric buses that should be coming in within the next maybe a couple of weeks that we got through a grant. Basically 80% of it was paid for by the grant. We have our chance to get a possible 3rd. That still is pending as far as grant work is concerned. We also have a picture there of our rec building. You have solar panels up there. Already the solar panels have proven to us that we can save $10,000 a year on electricity bills. And again, Avista helped us in a way and got us, we got the right kind of contractors and the consultants to work on the grants. And that has been a terrific thing. When you start talking about green, there's actually on that slide, it talks about how many pounds of CO2 emissions we've saved. They also translate that into, it's equivalent to 821 trees planted to help our air that much better. And of course, we are a Tree City, USA, so that's why we have that 821 trees that we've got down there. Well, next on the line is our planning director who replaced Pete Dickinson. He's been with us on board for just less than a year, but I want you to meet him. Here's RJ Lott.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I don't know how I got roped into following Mayor Johnson. That's nearly an impossible task, but let's give it a go here. I got a couple of slides for everybody, and then we'll move along to Mike Urban. So a little bit about me. Mayor Johnson's correct. I've been here since August. So a little less than a year. Unfortunately, this has been a unique year. I haven't had a chance to meet many of the folks on the call this afternoon. Hopefully we can change that here in the next couple of months. Looking forward to seeing folks face to face as opposed to via Zoom meetings. I think we're all pretty tired of those. So a little bit about me. Actually, I have 18 years of Eastern Washington land use planning. A majority of that has been with Benton County down in the Tri-Cities area, a little bit more in the Wenatchee area. And then, like I've said, I've been here since August. Pullman's been fantastic. I really couldn't have asked for a better place to live and work, except if we could get some football games in person, that might boost the morale on Saturdays in the fall. So hopefully that's coming here shortly. Some more about me. Got experience in a wide range of planning fields, as you can see there on the slide, including both short and long range planning, project management, grant writing, and work with a large variety of consultants. Got a couple of bachelor degrees, one from the University of Utah in urban planning, another in business management. Also have a master's in public administration from Arizona State, and I'll be done with my certified public manager program here in about 3 or 4 weeks. So looking forward to that and some little extra free time. Next slide, Haley, please. Thank you. So the biggest task for 2021 for planning here at City Hall, as some of you know, our comprehensive plan, a little outdated. It dates back to 1999. So we're looking at 21, 22 years old. So there is a draft plan available on the city's website. Simple Google search will pull that up for you. And if you're still having trouble, you can get a hold of me and I can send you, excuse me, I can send you a copy. So the Planning Commission has begun review of the draft with the help of the consultant. We've decided to do a monthly review, and you can see the schedule here. We'll have a meeting tomorrow evening. So we've got the next, with like 3 or 4 months, the second Wednesday of each month. And the public is more than welcome to attend, of course, via Zoom. And we do welcome public comment on the draft. If you could supply those comments, preferably in a written form 1 week prior to the review schedule, we can get those to the Planning Commission and to the consultant with adequate time for review. So we'll go through the summer here. Like I said, we'll meet tomorrow, chapters 4 and 5 of the draft plan. June's chapter 6 and 7. July 14th, we'll finish up with chapters 8 and 9 and the appendices. Then in August, Planning Commission will conduct a public hearing with a recommendation to council, hopefully for adoption, fingers crossed there. September, there'll be a presentation as well as another public hearing to the council. And then hopefully by October, once again, we can get an adoption of the comp plan and we can put this to bed. I know it's been to work in the works for the last couple of years, and we are trying our best to finally get this finished up. So Haley, next slide, please. Thank you. So some of you know, the city has not had a reliable GIS component. We've changed that recently with a hire of a GIS wizard, as I like to call him. He's been on board since January. He's absolutely fantastic. And I certainly appreciate what he brings to the table in terms of skill sets. So he's putting together a GIS program that will get us up to speed with comparable cities, and that should be available to the public here shortly. I know that there are a few options available for the public, but this should be up and running here by midsummer. Another item that city staff's working on is an electronic permitting program. This has been in the works for some time, and this should be done once again very shortly as well. This will allow folks to submit permits electronically, follow along the progress of those, so you don't have to call City Hall and ask, where are we with X and Y? You'll be able to look that up yourselves and get immediate information on where you stand on your projects. And Public Works is working on a pavement management system, and that should be done here shortly, or looks like it was done in 2020. The last slide of Mayor Johnson, I just want to hit on this a little bit before I finish up. The last slide that Mayor Johnson had, he referenced the bike and pedestrian plan. With the outgoing Public Works Director, Kevin Gardis, I'll be taking over that project. And once again, we'll be soliciting comments from the public here later this summer. So please keep your eyes and ears open for that one as well as we move forward with that. If you've got any questions for me, I'm always available. If you need my, I guess my email address or my number, you can get a hold of anybody and get that from me. So I think that's it for me. And we'll turn it over to Mike, I believe.
Perfect. Thanks, RJ. And I know exactly how you ended up following the mayor, because that's what I did in the last State of the City myself. So your initiation continues to roll on unabated. But thank you, Avista and the Pullman Chamber of Commerce for having us. I'm Mike Urban. The last time you saw me, I was the finance director. And due to some turns and twists, I became the interim city administrator in October, and the city council and the mayor decided to appoint me full-time in January. And 2 weeks ago, my replacement as the Director of Finance and Administrative Services, Jonna Davis, joined us here. And we're chugging away on all sorts of new fun and items, especially things like the American Rescue Plan, which the guidelines were just administered yesterday. So we're working through those. So I wanted to take the finance part of it, since Jonna is, fresh, and we'll see if we can put her in RJ's position next year. And I want to touch on this slide here. So our city council passed our second ever biennial budget on December 1st, 2020. So 2 years at a glance. It was really hard putting this budget together as we were in the throes of COVID and not really knowing what exactly was the long-term prognosis. Not that the eyesight's any better today, but there is the end of the tunnel coming, and we are sure of that. We took a really fiscally responsible view of budgeting across the department, and with our department heads, they really dug in and looked at their essential services and found a way to continue delivering programs while maintaining our staffing levels. At the end of the day, one of the more important things that we need to get to especially is the city council's goal of a fund reserve. And generally that's 2 months of fund reserve, which equals out to 16.7%. And as you can see at the end of 21, the way that the general fund budget breaks down, we're definitely over that. And based on revenue estimates and continued expenses at the end of 22, we still maintain that projected fund reserve, again, while maintaining staffing and delivering services to our community. Now on the right-hand side here, nope, back one, Haley, thank you. On the right-hand side, you can see how your city services are deployed on a daily basis per capita. So how much do I pay per day to continue running the city? It's basically $5.51. And that breaks down into 4 real important categories. There's the Public Works Department, utilities like water, sewer, streets, engineering services account for $2.84 of that, which is about 51.5%. And then your public safety portion is $1.33, about 24%. That's fire, ambulance, and law enforcement. And then the quality of life portion for $1.07, 19.4%. That's your parks, recreation, library. And then finally, that little sliver, the other down there, that's overhead at 27 cents, just a little under 5%. So city council, finance, human resources live in that little box. So that's what how your money phases through the city to keep everything going and providing services. Next slide, Haley, please. So taking that even a step further, property taxes. The city, if you live in the city of Pullman, you're paying about $15.14 per $1,000 of assessed value. And that gets split up among several different groups, as you can see, Pullman being just one of them. So Whitman County gets their portion, which is a little less than 10%, and the Port of Whitman County is a little less than 2% there at 28 cents. The hospital district, just above 3%, 3.7. And then you'll see where the school district is $4.90, 32.5%. And then finally, the city of Pullman's portion of your property taxes, $4.45 approximately. That's what comes to us to fund activities, which you'll see over there on the dime. And if you break down how that falls through, there's the Metropolitan Parks District at 28 cents. The bond repayment, about 10% of those dollars that come in to pay for the city hall and all the other projects in B. And then our EMS levy to maintain ambulance service is also, again, right there at about 10%. And then the rest of that goes into our general fund to fund things, fire, police, any general fund items, library, parks, rec, overhead. That's where that goes through. So a little bit more on sales tax, if you want to do the next slide. Thank you. I often talk to the city council, brief them regularly on sales tax collection because it is our most volatile revenue source at about 21% of our general fund. And as we went through the pandemic, we watched some of our normal, regular, recurring sales tax slide a little bit, although you'll see that little tick up on the sales tax collection by year. In 2020, we had a large chunk of one-time construction sales tax that came in for delivery of lumber and other goods to the city for the building that's going on, especially on the north end of town. So the sales tax for one-time construction certainly helped stabilize our funds. We'll take it where we can get it, when we can get it. The timing was great on it. And now as things continue through those next steps, how are we planning that? Because those one-time construction costs aren't always predictable. The chart on the right is more month by month in the general nature of the seasonality of our sales tax collections. And you can see how that cycles, other than some, very odd jumps from time to time for one-time large capital purchases. And a quick note on that, when I report these out, it's sales tax when it is captured by our vendors at the end of, so this month May will end. They have until the end of June 25th approximately to turn that into the state. The state takes another month to turn that back to us. And that's why we're always 2 months behind in calculations. But when I do these reports, I always put it to council as the month that it was collected. So when we look back on some of these things, we could say, oh yeah, that's when game day came to town. So we expected a little bit of spike there. We can really do an apples to apples comparison on these types of activities. Okay, last slide, Haley. So again, the mayor and RJ and I want to thank the Pullman Chamber of Commerce and Avista Utilities for inviting us. There's several ways you can get informed or even get involved with the city of Pullman. The best one is through our website at pullmanwa.gov. And then we have other pieces that can link off of there from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our council meetings are streamed on YouTube. So we've embraced that through COVID and are continuing to make improvements on that. So that concludes our formal part of the presentation. I'm going to invite the mayor and RJ to join me back in case there's any questions, and Haley can stop or share so Marie can lead us through the next pieces. But again, thank you. We look forward to seeing everybody once we can get back out and open the front doors.
Yes, thank you, Mike and RJ and Mayor Johnson. We have about 6 minutes left and open it up for any questions. If you want to just unmute and say your question, or maybe raise your hand using the reactions on the bottom of the screen. I'm not seeing any yet.
Well, Marie,
Thank you.
one question always comes in about the downtown parking experiment that we had last year.
Sure.
And just want you to know that it will not come back to Main Street, that kind of backup parking, but it was a great experiment. And actually it was sort of for the mental health of our community, because for that period of time, no one was complaining about COVID or the pandemic. They were complaining about parking, which was like normal. And so it was a way of just restoring mental health for the whole community. And I just thought our public works department should get credit for that. So just want to put that in.
It was nice to think about something else. Yes. I also used the chat section to put both RJ and Mike's contact information in there. So if you need to capture that before this meeting ends, be sure to do that. Or you can always find them on the Pullman the Pullman City's website.
And mine is almost the same as theirs. It's just Glenn, GLENN.Johnson @
Everybody has yours. You're a 5-term mayor.
just in case.
Any questions? Jamie, you're always good for a question. Where are you?
This is Barbara. I'm always good for a question too. Glenn, what is the latest forecast from the airport and when we might learn about flights to Denver? Is there any sort of a timetable of when decisions about that might happen?
I can tell you a couple of things. One, Tony will be talking to United Airlines this week again. They've been asking a lot of questions, and they're the ones who are taking the lead currently for the flight to Denver. We're also working very closely, and the president of the University of Idaho, Scott Green especially, to get the Boise flight in. And that would help Moscow, it would help Latah County, it would help the University of Idaho in so many ways, but it would also help us as well, because if we get the Boise flight, there's a lot of connections out of Boise. You can get down to California quite easily out of Boise, just in case you're saying, you know, Seattle is just such a hassle. You can go to Boise, less hassle, and then fly and get your connections done very quickly that way. For exact dates, no, Barb, we don't have those. We're still talking, they're still evaluating in terms of the recovery. How quickly will people start coming back on planes? The more people get vaccinated, it's gonna make another pitch for vaccination. It's so important. And I've had mine too, and my wife has had hers, and I know a lot of people at City Hall have had theirs, and police department, fire department, and it's very, very safe. And I'll tell you, it's so important to get back to normal. The quicker we can all get vaccinated.
Thanks, Glenn.
Okay, Jamie, now do you have a question?
Thanks, Marie, for calling me out.
You're welcome.
Hey, you know what? I actually had the same one that I just saw Kelly put in the chat about Lentil Festival. And I know that things are in the air, but I've definitely been wondering about that too, of where we're at with some of our really, to me, heritage and what makes Pullman and the Palouse so special.
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess I can answer it, and then if any of the other folks want to chime in. Of course, with the fact that we're still in phase 2 and we've been, with many restrictions for the last year plus, we have not been able to really plan a lentil festival as we've had in the past. So even if everything got lifted tomorrow, we would not be ready. I mean, it takes 10, 11 months just to plan from one year to the next. So if we are able to do, and I think there will be something around that week of welcome and that week back coming to school, where we maybe partner with restaurants to do some fun things, and retailers and downtown, maybe some live music and that kind of thing in those smaller sort of settings. So that's what we're looking at right now.
And thank you very much, Marie. Please let me know once you find out. I'm overseeing the week of welcome for WSU. And so I really want to be a good partner to ensure that we're helping push families and Cougs to get connected to Pullman as well as WSU.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you for bringing that up. Do you want to introduce yourself, since you are new in your position and a face new on our Zoom here? Do you want to introduce yourself and what you are doing at WSU?
I am Dr. Kelly Alvarado Young. I use she, her, ella pronouns, and I am the new director of new student programs at Washington State University. So overseeing the Alive orientation program and week of welcome. So new to the area, really loving it here in the Palouse, originally from New York City, but I was living in Spokane prior to coming to Pullman for another institution up there. So really looking forward to helping support the amazing work that is going to be happening down here in Pullman and getting folks back to your businesses.
Welcome, Kelly. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah. If you guys saw in the chat, Tony Bean, our executive director of PUW, he says we're still working with United on flight timing. There's construction on the Denver side that is affecting the timing, and any timing will require significant lead time to get ticketing booked and scheduling done to plan routes and times effectively. So that sounds pretty optimistic to me. So that's awesome. So I know it's at 1 o'clock. I don't see any hands raised. So I do want to take a minute to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you to Avista for hosting our Zoom meeting. Also, thank you to our business member of the month, Phoenix Rising Counseling Services. I also have a winner chicken dinner, although it was a steak salad dinner. And Amberly, you've won our $20 gift card drawing today. So thank you for supporting Foundry and eating your lunch with us today. Also, I just want to take one more second to before I say thank you to our speakers, to mention the Eastern Washington Legislative Tour coming up on October 10th through the 12th. And you will hear more about that. But this is a great way for us to showcase our area and Pullman specifically to our legislators. So we'll be sending out some wonderful postcards. They look like this. If you're a chamber member, you'll get one of these. Don't throw it away before you read it. And so we hope to get some input from all of you for that. Again, Mayor Johnson, thank you very much for your leadership and for doing this State of the City address every year except for 2020 for the last several years. And RJ and Mike, thank you for joining us as well. If you have further questions, like I said, I've left some information in the chat section on ways to contact those folks. So please do if you have further questions. And next month, we will have, this is kind of fun, I don't know where my piece of paper is, Business Connections, WSU State of Business in the Northwest by the Dean of Carson College of Business, Chip Hunter. So he will be joining us next month in June, and that should be really interesting as well. So again, thank you and have a great afternoon.
Everyone.